The New York Times even went so far as to blame her for colonialism and then blame her for decolonialism. The left always like to have it both ways. But when Elizabeth and Prince Philip toured Australia in 1954, I don't know if you remember it yourself, Gideon, but they visited 57 towns and cities in 58 days. And legend has it that 70% of the nation actually saw them in person. Now, Charles and Camilla are unlikely to command that sort of affection and reverence. But Gideon, do you think that means we're becoming a republic?
Look, I think it's a different country to how it was in the 1950s generally. I think if Queen Elizabeth herself had rocked up to Australia, and indeed she did, you wouldn't see 2/3 of the country turning out. That just reflects the nature of the country and how it's changed. But Charles and Camilla, I don't think that necessarily will affect how likely it is that we'll become a republic. I mean, don't forget when the referendum was held last time in 1999, the monarchy was not, or the royal family was not as favourably viewed as they are these days. The 90s were not a good decade for the royals. The Queen did lose a bit of esteem, rightly or wrongly, over the death of Princess Diana. So that in the end didn't make any difference at all to the outcome. The Republic went down resoundingly in 1999. I think Australians do not vote on this issue based on their opinion of the current sovereign or the current monarch. They base it, quite rightly, on their assessment of the system. And in 1999 as well, I think, next time the referendum is tried, that if it ain't broke, don't fix it message won the day. I don't think it's contingent on Charles and Camilla and what they do. However, I will say this, if we see some of the gratuitous political interference that we saw from King Charles, that we saw out of Prince Charles on climate, on the Great Reset, on all sorts of other things, well, I'll tell you what, I'll be donning a bandana and joining the ARM myself. But all signs are that King Charles knows his constitutional role is different, and it appears as if he'll be more restrained. Time will tell, obviously, but we do need him to stay out of our domestic political affairs and indeed energy policy going forward if he wants to command the same respect that his predecessor and mother did.
Well, just as King Charles seems to have abandoned, or has promised to abandon, the causes that he was so enamoured by as a prince, so too have Australians, I believe, been reminded of the values that the monarch actually represents. Now, this moment, the Republicans in Australia, as I said in my editorial earlier, the Republicans in Australia have been waiting for this moment, and I think they utterly misread it. They thought this was going to be the moment when everyone goes, oh, okay, well, the Queen's gone, time for us to sever ties with the monarchy and we will become a republic. I don't think it's turning out that way. How could the Republican movement have got it so wrong, Gideon?
I think they were reasonably restrained. The statements were a little bit cheeky, saying, effectively suggesting what you're saying, that with the death of the Queen comes a new discussion for the Republic. It wasn't as shameless as somebody like Adam Band, who basically said condolences and now let's push for a treaty and all sorts of other things. But what I will say is that the messaging has seemed to change from the Republican movement. The messaging previously was that the Queen has no role in Australia, what's she done for us, no relevance to the country, doesn't know us, foreign head of state, blah, blah, blah. After the death of Queen Elizabeth, the message seemed to be, oh, she was wonderful, such a great queen, so great to Australia, such an icon. And, you know, she's so good. She was so wonderful. Nobody could ever be as good as Queen Elizabeth was. So maybe we should transition on, indeed, from the monarchy. So a bit too cheeky from the Australian Republican movement, a bit too clever by half. Again, as I said, I don't think it's contingent on any particular monarch. I think what Australians do appreciate is the system, or more to the point, the fruits of the system, the end product, which is the stable parliamentary democracy that we've known for the better part of 120 odd years now.